What's up, everybody? Welcome to another riveting episode of Mail Call here. It is March 1st, getting ready to hit the road and chase some big bass dreams. So, got several items here that I wanted to show off to you guys and break down exactly how they fit into the game plan over the next several weeks. Right now, I'm in Southern California. Going to be making a push north into the central and northern part of the state for the next 2 to 8 weeks. And I've got several items here that are going to play a pretty big role in staying productive and efficient while we're out there, number one, trying to catch these big fish, and number two, document it all to share with you guys through the channel. Boom, let's start off with the Yeti goodies. Brand new coffee mug here. Pumped on these. As you guys well know, I've been traveling, fishing all over the country for the last couple years here, and the product line from these guys has been a big part of that. Long treks, early hours, late hours, 15-hour, 19-hour drives, and staying hydrated and staying alert with the help of caffeine, namely a lot of coffee. And being able to sip on your drink for hours and keep it both either hot or cold has been absolutely invaluable. And I mean, I hate to exaggerate and make it all over dramatic, but man, this stuff has kept me alive. You know, when I'm on hour 13 and I can't really see anything besides what's in front of my headlights, keeps me alert, keeps me awake, and keeps me alive and safe. So this is a brand new item. Super pumped on that because I drink a ton of coffee. And new for me this year is this black sleeved Rambler. This bad boy, I'm pretty sure, holds at least 16 ounces. For a morning of fishing, it's absolutely perfect. I can fill this bad boy up with coffee, 6 a.m. It could be 35, 45 degrees outside, whatever. By like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm still sipping on warm coffee. It's absolutely insane. And then the opposite holds true in the summertime. You know, when it's 106 degrees at Clear Lake or Northern California or Texas or whatnot, this will hold ice for several hours. It's a trip. And also new for this season is that bad boy right there. Haha, no more spilling. How sick is that? Now, part of being healthy on the road, staying focused, all that good stuff, is staying hydrated. And I've done my best to drink as much straight water as possible. And normally I'd just go to Costco or something and buy, you know, a big case of water. But having all that excess trash and plastic bottles is starting to kind of bug me. You know, it's not really necessary anymore. So I've gone to these Ramblers here, and the bigger sizes, I believe this is a 32 ounce, all the way up to the 1 gallon jug, which I'm going to be keeping in the boat and in the truck now, and just full of water. You know, I'm going to pre-fill this up before my trips, cut down on my waste, and most importantly, save some money. Super pumped on that. And check this out. And people are going to be like, oh man, why are you spending that much money on Yeti stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, like, honestly, because they pay attention to all the details. Like, this stuff goes through the ringer on my travels. I've dropped them coming out of my truck. They've, you know, bounced all over the boats, you name it. And even like little features like this magnetic cap so it doesn't go anywhere. And you can pour your water out into a smaller Rambler. The quality of these products is unparalleled. That's reason number one. Okay. Reason number two is they support some of the dopest content creators in the game. Fishing, hunting, outdoorsmen. jump on the YouTube channel. There's a card right here in the upper right hand corner. Click subscribe. Look at the stuff that they support. They put together dope videos. The kind of stuff that I enjoy watching, and like-minded individuals like myself enjoy watching. And why that content doesn't get as much shine as like some stupid challenge boggles my mind. But the fact that they support the best of the best is a huge reason why you should be supporting these kind of companies. All right, and next up, boom, this bad boy right here. It's the Hopper Flip 8. This is the perfect truck, car, small boat, kayak companion here. Soft-sided, fits 8 cans, you know, for one person. It just holds the perfect amount. You can put 2, 3, 4 drinks in here. Maybe a small, Rambler inside. And a sandwich or two and your snacks. And boom. You're good to go for the day. I've been using the Flip 12 here for over a season. And it gets drug around the country. In the truck, in the boat. Saltwater boat, saltwater spray, blood, slime. You name it. And it's still, to this day, performing flawlessly. And then, this is the one I'm pumped on for this season, is the Hopper Flip 18. So the 18 denotes the capacity. So this bigger version of the same one I've been using, and that smaller 8 that I'll be using a lot on inside the truck especially, is going to be perfect for keeping drinks and food cold. You know, especially when I got 2 or 3 guys in the boat, or ladies if I'm lucky. Super easy to clean. They're the deal. The zippers don't ever get stuck. They come with the lube for preventative maintenance and follow-up maintenance. A little zipper lubricant. You just apply it when you first get your hopper, and once a season, and you're good to go. So those are the sweet items from Yeti that I'm pumped on, that are gonna help me save some money long term, because we do this a lot. The waters, the beverages add up, the ice adds up. Forgot to order some Yeti ice, so I'll be definitely putting an order in for those. But Yeti is just dope, man. It's everything they do is dope. Their philosophy with their brand falls in line with everything that we like to do here at Big Bass Streams. This is an item right here that needs to be in everybody's boat, and probably your vehicle too. A lot of us that are running a lot of electronics, big graphs, fish finders all day, hydro waves, this and that. It's a pretty big drain on the boat's battery systems at times. Trolling motors, this and that. This bad boy is the Eco Jump. Now, I just started carrying these in my boat. If you guys remember, I got stranded on Clear Lake one day after fishing like 15 hours straight. And by the time we called the sheriffs, they came all the way out and found us across the lake. And the first thing he did was bust out one of these portable jumper packs. Attach these clips to the cranking battery and start your motor. This saved my butt in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, and in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, when there isn't another soul in sight. And these things are super dope because they charge on a mini USB cable that comes in the box here. Just a standard mini USB. Okay, and you can pre-charge them in 4 hours. And it holds 100% charge for weeks. But another feature that makes these things dope is the ability to charge 2 different electronic devices I'm planning on hardwiring 2 GoPros to each one of these battery banks. And you can just recharge them that evening and you're good to go again. I showed this to Kelly Puppo, the bass wizard, when we were at Lake Paris that day you guys saw us fishing. Well, we ran the boat hard. Cranking battery went dead. Trolling motor batteries didn't have enough juice to jump it with my Pergo switch. Clipped this bad boy on, fired it right up. Kelly went out and bought one that day. So that's a super sick item. Kind of one of those must-haves, part of boat safety. And this thing right here, also from EcoXgear. It might be EcoXgear, I'm not really sure. Could be butchering it. But it's a solar panel. So as much as I'm using my phone when I'm out there, as much as, you know, the GoPros are being run, this is indispensable because it charges straight off the power of the sun and the sun alone. But the cool thing is it's also got a battery pack here that stores the energy when it's not being used. Super sick. USB import. Lay this bad boy out in the boat, deck of the boat, or if you're hanging out at the park or whatever, you want to power your speakers, recharge your phones, etc., etc. Super sick, waterproof, HD solar power bank from EcoXgear. I hope. Alright. What else do we got here? Now, as you guys know, we're multi-species fishermen here. Rockfish season just opened here in Southern California in the local saltwater scene. And when we're going to be traveling the country, you know, we catch walleyes, bycatch, we catch panfish, crappie, perch, this and that. And what we have here are these fillet away fish mats. Now, I spent a lot of time on the sport boats here as a youngster cleaning fish, sand bass, barracuda, rockfish, yellowtail, sea bass, halibut, tuna, all that stuff. Tens of thousands, not to mention the tens of thousands of bluegill and crappie and red ear and catfish and trout and, you know, etc., and stripers that we've eaten. So, you know, as I get older, I've implemented more of my own caught seafood into my diet. It's clean protein, especially when you know where it's coming from. So this is a very practical item that I'm looking forward to use. Non-skid, doesn't absorb any oils. It's got these ribs here that are going to help hold the fish in place and keep you from cutting yourself. But super simple. Great idea. You know, I could throw this on the top of one of my hard Yetis and just go to work and cut those fish in a matter of seconds, hopefully, if I still got it. And then along those same lines is this nifty little tool from the Cig company. Now, I don't always fillet my fish. I usually do. But there are times like when I got sheephead, or, you know, you got trout or a big panfish or something that you want to keep whole. So you gill and gut and scale. Back in the day, I used a spoon, and that was terrible. You know, I had to like really get in there with the spoon, and oftentimes like bust my fingers up on scales or gill plates or whatever. But this is one piece. I think it's machined aluminum. But you have different angles here to come in. Boom, boom, boom. You can come in hard. Get those hard to reach spots around all those pokey, spiny fins and sharp gill plates and this and that. But that's going to come in handy and save me a lot of grief. And they claim that it keeps the flying scales to a minimum. So excited to see how that pans out. Got to hide that from Kobe. He's always trying to clean those smallmouth, you know. All right, and last but not least, we've got a nice little package here straight from Sunline. Now, those of you guys that are familiar with my fishing style have seen that I like to fish aggressively. You know, I like to fish heavier line than I used to as a youngster. because I'm still targeting big fish even with traditional techniques. So with that being said, I fish a lot of braided line on everything traditional for the most part. Crankbaits, topwater, jigs, jerkbaits, plastic worms, small swim baits, you name it. It's going to be braided line. And I'm pumped on this brand new Cig Long PE8 from Sunline. And what that denotes is this is an 8-strand braid, which makes for a really nice smooth finish. And that's key for my style of fishing. Some of those other braids are really rough. Those are typically like the 4-strand braids, like this PE4. And there are times when I want that. The 4-strand braids will cut through vegetation better. So when I'm fishing around kelp in the salt water, I like that coarse braid. Or if I'm fishing heavy vegetation at times where I need the line to help me cut through the grass, that's when I'm fishing this stuff. But for most applications, open water, where I really want to be able to feel in depth what my lure is doing, I don't want all that extra vibration that a coarse braided line is making. This stuff handles a lot like monofilament or fluorocarbon, or a lot closer to a single filament line, even though it's an 8-weave braid. So 50 pound is what I like to use pretty much across the board. Crankbaits, topwater, spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, jigs, you name it. This is going to be my main line on almost all my traditional setups, minus the spinning stuff. That's when I drop down to 20, 12, even 10, depending on what bait I'm trying to fish. This stuff is the deal, guys. You get extended longevity out of this stuff because it just doesn't break down. And most importantly, you get a real feel that can't be duplicated with even 100% fluorocarbon. Mono's got a ton of stretch. Braided line is definitely a big component in the fishing styles that we like to use. So 50 pound there. We got the 50 pound 4-strand for the situations like fishing a frog or real heavy punching. I should have ordered some 65 and 80 too while I was at it, but we'll get to that. And when I'm fishing all of those different traditional baits, most of the time I'm fishing a Fluorocarbon Leader, and that's what we have here from Sunline is there. Now what's the difference between the leader material and the stuff that you fill up your reels with? Well, leader material tends to be very stiff, makes it very abrasion resistant, and can handle a lot of abuse, but there's always trade-offs in that. Because it's so stiff, you can't really spool up a whole reel full of this stuff. So it typically comes in really short segments, 27 yards, or in this case 50 yards. Because for our style of fishing, we're only using 6 to 18 inches for a leader. Not very much at all. Some guys like having, like 6 to 12 feet. I don't really see the benefit of that because this stuff doesn't stretch. So the amount of stretch you're getting between 18 inches and 36 inches is pretty negligible. Okay, I don't like casting through the guides if I can help it, even with a low profile knot like an Alberto or an FG knot. But this stuff is also 100% fluorocarbon, not coated, not mixed with some other polymer. And if those of you guys that are real sensitive to visibility issues and tend to want to fish light lines because you're afraid the fish are going to see the baits, fish 100% fluorocarbon leader like this. And you tell me if you can see it in the water, because I guarantee you I really can't. I can't see it any more than 6 or 12 or even 15 or 20. So the 6 pound here is for those really finesse style applications, drop shotting, spy baiting, EcoXgear screw head, 3-inch Hazedong shad, 3-inch spark shad, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I don't ever fish anything this light anymore, even in super clear water here at home, even in the super gin clear water when we're fishing smallmouth. I want to have that cushion of at least 10 pound. 12-pound line, because even though I'm fishing a finesse technique, we're still trying to catch giant bass. And we're talking smallmouth, we're talking 5 to 8 pounders are on the target. Largemouth, you know, up to 23 pounds. You feel me? So you know, in the case that there are times when using 12-pound over 6 is going to cost me some bites, I'll take that, because when that right fish eats my bait, I'm going to have heavier line and just a bigger margin for error to deal with landing a potential fish of a lifetime. So that's the philosophy I've adopted. And, you know, it's pretty much opposite of how I grew up, because when I grew up, you know, there was no fluorocarbon. It was monofilament. And what we used back then was 5-pound Maxima Ultra Green. It probably did matter that the visibility of that monofilament made a difference in the number of bites we'd get. You know, I fished a lot of that 5-pound, a lot of that 6-pound. I used to Texas rig my 6-inch worms with 6 and 8-pound line. You know, 10 and 12 seemed like rope back then. But back then, I was really inexperienced with bigger fish. You know, there were a couple of times when I hooked, you know, fish probably over 6-7 pounds that ruined me. And I just got tired of getting pwned. So fishing heavier line definitely doesn't seem to affect the number of bites we're getting. You know, if you watch the video where we're fishing with Chris on the Thousand Islands in Lake Ontario, gin clear water for smallmouth, he's fishing 5-pound. I'm fishing a 15-pound fluoro leader. And what's the difference there? We're both getting bit, we're both catching fish, but he's having to really play these fish out for like ever, in my opinion. Versus boom, hook my fish, makes one run, 2 runs in the net, in the boat. Makes you that much more efficient. I can fire off another cast and catch another fish. And I just got a lot more leeway. You know, he was actually really surprised when I told him I was fishing 15-pound. He was like, no kidding. You know, and that probably comes from that West Coast background of his, of course. So for most things, I'm fishing a 12 to 16-pound leader. Jerk baits, crank baits, top water, this and that. It just really depends on what I can get away with. And there are times when I feel I can get away with 20. Better believe that's what we got tight on, especially when you're fishing around cover. Brush, rocks, and especially when you're dealing with mussel-infested waters. Zebra mussels, quagga mussels, even clamshell, you know, beds. Using heavier line, in my opinion, isn't going to cost you very many bites, but it will help you land the bigger fish. And what we also have from them is their saltwater special fluorocarbon leaders. So we got 30 meters here of 30-pound, and this is probably what I'm going to be using on my A-rigs. And why do you use a fluorocarbon leader on your A-rig, you might ask? They're eating it off that stupid wire, aren't they? Well, yeah, but I'm also fishing braid with the A-rig, and that braid is super limp. So the fluorocarbon is stiff, and what its purpose is to help mitigate and keep the tangles from the braid in the actual rig itself down to a minimum. Another key factor. So 30-pound and 50-pound. And then last but not least, we've got Sunline Structure Fluorocarbon. And as it says on the box, they designed this specifically for fishing structure. Now, what's the difference between structure and cover? Well, cover is really the objects on structure. So a dock, brush piles, you know, fish cribs, you name it, all that stuff is cover. Grass beds. Structure is the bottom contours of the lake itself. Main lake points, secondary points, humps, ledges, shoals, flats, breaks, all that is structure. But a lot of that stuff is typically hard bottom, typically rocky. Okay, especially with our bottom bouncing techniques. When guys are bottom bouncing the mag draft with the beast hook mod or a defiant on the bottom. This line right here is the deal. And Nephelis showed me this stuff initially. This is what he's been fishing a lot of. This is 25 pound. It's got very little stretch here for a fluorocarbon line and a very tough coating. You're going to lose some castability. You're not going to have that suppleness that some guys prefer. But my train of thought is, I don't care how well my line handles and or I don't care how much memory my line has. I don't care how well or how bad it casts. At the end of the day, if it doesn't result in me landing the biggest fish of my life, I'm not messing with it. And this stuff is right up my alley. Super pumped. So, yep. Anyway, that about wraps up this edition of the ever so exciting version of Mail Call that gets more engagement than a White Road Adventure video that I put a lot of time and expenses and effort and soul and passion into. But gets like 3 comments. So here you go. Hope you guys like it. Little mind blown by it all, but links to these products and where to get them are in the description below. When you guys shop at Tackle Direct and the Hookup Tackle, through these links, it helps us keep this whole train moving. So they're good people, and just like we talked about with Yeti, you know, you want to support the brands that are supporting creators that you find value in. So thank you guys for that.